Well, a very pleasant good evening. Time for Startup Talk from Indian River State College with Tom Kindred.
Thank you, sir, and welcome to another segment and installment of Startup Talk, the show designed to assist and help Treasure and Research Coast residents who want to start, grow, or accelerate their business. As I always say, what a great place it is to own and operate a business along the beautiful Research and Treasure Coast. We will spend time during our hour together this evening to highlight and create awareness regarding the very powerful and robust business assistance and support programs that exist right here in our community at our very own Indian River State College. I am Tom Kindred, and I serve the community and I serve the college as the Regional Director for the Florida SBDC at IRSC. Our show, as always, is underwritten by the Florida Small Business Development Center here at Indian River State College and our friends at Express Printing of Port St. Lucie. So, Greg, how are you this evening?
Doing well.
Great. What have we got coming up? I guess we are looking at getting through the summer, but
volleyball camps are right around the corner in August. Yep, and then the season begins like mid-August.
So we are kind of no real sports going on at IRSC over the summer.
Practice, yeah.
We got practice, but we're getting ready.
And the you can go now to the IRSC.edu website and see the gradual population of basketball schedules. The ladies are they're full. They're up. And Charlie's still working on some teams outside of Alaska who will play us.
And Charlie is returning for his
yes, he is.
Second season, or has he been there three now?
This is going to be his fourth.
Fourth season. Wow.
Yeah.
And he's done some great things with the basketball
great
team.
Coach.
Yeah.
Great coach. Yeah.
And as I always tell folks, when the fall rolls around, take advantage of IRSC and the athletic program. Never any charge. Only once in a while do they charge for admission into the games if they're trying to do a little fundraiser.
Those are fundraisers, yeah. But
usually never any charge to participate and come be a spectator at an IRSC sporting event. And it really is. It's a great collegiate athletics right here in our town. And I have yet to go to a basketball game that wasn't just a lot of fun and exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when the big teams out of Dade and Broward and Palm Beach and come into town. So
I've been looking at the multinational recruits that these schools are bringing in from Africa and Europe, and it's going to be a tough year.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
So as those who tune in on a regular basis, you know that our show is dedicated to talking about resources, business resources, assistance programs that are available around the Treasure Coast. That is certainly what the Florida SBDC is all about, providing assistance, consulting, and trainings to local businesses to help those businesses accelerate and grow and increase revenues and gain access to capital. So tonight, our show, as always, is dedicated to that same theme. We've got with us a great guy working for St. Lucie County. I've had the opportunity to work with Mr. Jones on a couple of projects, and very supportive of our program, very supportive of the college, and always looking for ways to get the word out on what we're doing at the college. And so it is a great pleasure to have Peter Jones with us tonight on the show. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you so very much. It's great to be here.
Should have had you, I have to apologize, probably should have had you a couple of years ago when you first came on board with the county. You've done a great job in helping people work their way and weave their way through the county as they look to locate, expand, and grow here in our community. So again, we appreciate the work you do. So looking forward to kind of talking about what's going on at the county, especially in the area of business recruitment and growth. But let's start real quickly. Give us a little background on you, your business background, and kind of the pathway to St. Lucie County.
Sure. Well, thank you. Well, ironically, I'm an architect by profession, and so however, the interesting thing is that for the last 30 years, I've been doing the very same thing for my private sector clients as I do for the very good people here in St. Lucie County. And that is to help them slog their way through the regulatory procedures and processes that we have, all of which are very important, but many times are just sort of like a different language or a whole new subject matter for a lot of folks coming in. And so it ranges from the lovely young lady who wants to start her little hair salon but had no idea of the procedures and all the things involved, to the more sophisticated Maverick Boat Group that's building a 100,000 square foot, $6 million facility and adding 100 new jobs. So it's quite the range and everything in between. But
that Maverick facility, by the way, looks like it's about 100 miles long. It's mammoth.
Well, when you think about it, it's 100,000 square feet. Well, that's more than an acre. So just to put it in perspective.
Wow.
So it'll be a fabulous facility, needless to say.
It is impressive.
But the importance in all of this is to remember that it's the small businesses that are every bit as important as the large ones, and everyone deserves to be successful and to try to reach their goals and follow their dreams, and a lot of that is why I'm here. So
talk just a minute about your architecture background. Were you a practicing architect for a number of years? You look awful young, so you couldn't have done it that long. But
well, you're much too kind. Yes, I've been in practice for all these years in the private sector and a little bit in the public sector here. I've had the good opportunity to teach adjunct at the college for a number of years as well, which I truly enjoyed. And I also taught high school for 3 years at Indian River Charter High School that I actually sat on the board that founded the school, and my daughter graduated from there as well. So, and the course, I'll just say sort of as an aside, the course that I taught was called Owner Builder, and it was all about sort of life skills, about what you want to do with yourself when you grow up, your career, how you're going to get there, where you want to live, and then they got to design their own house in the process.
Wow.
So,
nice.
So it had an element of the built environment as well.
Yeah.
I still don't know what I'm doing.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. I looked over at him and I knew it was coming. I figured he was going to say, Tom needs to take that class. He doesn't know what he wants to do when he grows up.
Yeah.
What department are you situated in at the county? What group are you with?
I'm with Planning and Development Services, so I work under Leslie Olson, our Director of Planning and Development Services. In fact, my office is right next to hers. Now, I also have, so you know, I was recently promoted to the position of Economic Development Manager. And that is because I now spend part of my time working with Stan Payne, who is our Director of Airports and Ports. And I still, of course, follow my business navigator duties, and those are obviously very important. So it's just that I get to do more, and very blessed to do so.
Okay. How many folks are in you call it the, is that used to be referred to as the Community Development Department? Right.
I think so,
right.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So how many folks are in that department?
Oh gosh, 20-ish.
Okay.
I would say.
Nice.
So it's a full cadre of very great people. My job as business navigator side of things is, of course, I work with many of our other departments in the county because they all come together as part of the development process, as you would expect. And a lot of times I'm sort of the Rosetta Stone between the department heads and the very good people who are trying to get their projects approved.
Peter, there was a New York Times study, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, that talked about the port of Fort Pierce being the last developable port on the entire East Coast. Is that true?
It's probably a reasonably accurate statement. The acreage that's there is obviously a substantial portion is in private hands. However, the 20-plus acres that the county has just purchased, the former King Maritime Terminal, we are in the process of, the county is in the process of looking for an operator to come in and initiate an MRO, maintenance, repair, and operations overhaul of mega yachts. And we have actually two great companies that are interested in that process. We've initiated the selection and approval process. And so we're very hopeful that by the end of summer, August or September, we'll have an operator in and working. So it'll be a great, it's going to create jobs. It'll change the economy of that port in that area, and we're very excited about that.
And those are going to be high-paying jobs too.
Many of them absolutely will.
Sure.
Those are when you think about the kinds of mega yachts or those large yachts we've all seen pictures of in the magazines.
Yeah, just go to Fort Lauderdale and drive around.
Fort Lauderdale, Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
Well, and one of those companies is of that kind of character and nature that's interested in being an operator. And so the kinds of things that are worked on in those boats are phenomenal, and it ranges from the giant engines that propel them to the sophisticated kinds of electronics and air conditioning systems and all the rest that you'd expect. So.
And they'd have to. I'm assuming they'd have to put in some serious infrastructure in the area.
A lot of it, yes.
Bulkheads.
Well, the good news is that there will be some repair and some fit up and things, but most of the equipment will be brought in by the operator, and that's the kind of equipment that it takes to get those boats somewhat out of the water or completely out of the water so that they can be worked on. And that's pretty amazing stuff if you ever check out what those kinds of things look like. So,
what talk a little bit about the division. What is it all about permitting? What other types of services are provided through the division that Leslie is responsible for?
Well, of course, it's primarily the approvals process. So, for example, if you want to build a building or you want to develop land, you'll come through the planning and development services. Now, my role in that is of particular interest to our companies that are just trying to maybe get stuck somehow or some way and just need a little bit of help. And I'm there to do that. The other aspect of that is, of course, we have what the county refers to as our targeted industries. And those are manufacturing companies and manufacturing type ranging from strict manufacturing like a Phoenix Metal Products Company or like a Maverick Boat Group, to other kinds of things that have to do with the research and development and so on. So our interest, and this is a great thing about this county. I'll tell you, St. Lucie County has it going on. I mean, the cities of Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie are great partners with the county in the recognition of the importance of economic development. And because of that, their interest and the kinds of companies that are coming in the way that we can help them is pretty phenomenal. We have economic incentives that go along with this, right. And those incentives range from our Job Growth Investment Grant, which is an opportunity for a company who are creating jobs, are a targeted industry, to qualify for a certain value of money for those jobs created. Performance-based, so that means you have to perform to make it happen. We also have ad valorem income tax exemption, which is a program that allows certain parts of your ad valorem taxes to be exempt. Again, job created and performance-based. And then we have the same thing for impact fee. So we have incentives which are important. I read many articles about economic development in other states and in other sectors that it's interesting. The economic incentives do play a role. It's not a win all
right.
but does play a role, and
right.
It's important and helpful.
Has that kind of philosophy changed over the years? I guess there was a time back when the economy really was peaking that cities and counties, municipalities, were willing to give a lot of incentives. And did we back off a little bit on that? Has it gotten a little more controlled over the last maybe decade since the recession?
It has, and for all the obvious reasons. I mean, we recognize that perhaps some overly zealous incentive programs were put forth and they didn't pay off, and so we're very careful and very complete in our incentives program, and as I say, they are performance based, which is very important.
Right.
we do a lot of homework to make sure that it works out. So.
You mentioned St. Lucie County's got it going on. Of course, being lifetime residents of St. Lucie County and kind of growing up, I see the greatness about our community and the Treasure Coast, and it's easy for me to talk about it and be enthusiastic about it, but it almost seems it would be easy for others to do that too. Do we have a little bit of an easy sell here along the Treasure Coast, or are we still, what would be kind of talk about some of the advantages? What makes this an easy choice for a company to relocate or expand?
Sure, great question. I think it begins with the people and the politicians and the politics of the county, and I think that there's a real consensus and a real feel for this county and in those advantages that we have, which I'll speak to, but also and as importantly, the political climate, the recognition of that economic development is a good thing, job creation is a good thing. We want our citizens to have good jobs. We want our kids to come back from school and have a good job. And I'll tell you, the State College has been a fantastic partner in that process. Our high school programs are now starting to recognize the value of alternatives to college programs, and that there are vocational kinds of things that can be just as good for our young people. So those are good things. And then, of course, our cost of living, our location being sort of halfway between the Palm Beaches and South and Lauderdale and Orlando. We're in a good location that way. We couldn't have more beautiful water and lagoon and beaches, and as long as we take good care of our lagoon, of course, we'll maintain that. And then we have an airport that's starting to take off, if you'll forgive the pun.
Pardon the pun.
And that will also be a good economic engine in the future, and we're hoping that also will provide an opportunity for some airline expansion and some other things as well.
I remember when Carol and I moved here in '93, we had a lady doing our traffic, which is the logs and stuff like that. And her primary job was this company that was discussing with property owners around the airport to buy their properties. And so it has gotten to a point where now, St. Lucie International is larger than Palm Beach, is that correct?
In acreage it is.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, good point. When you look back and, I was having this conversation today with a local politician, but, we've had some great politicians and some folks that really were able to vision and look ahead. And I think Dr. Massey's one of those people that has the ability. Oh, yeah.
He's off the charts.
He doesn't look, an hour down the road. I mean, he's
right.
looking 20 years. Where do we need to be? Let's be ahead. And I think our airport is a great example here in St. Lucie County where, years ago, I think they saw the ability to maybe purchase the land and be ready for that expansion. So what you see of our airport infrastructure is just a small piece of what we have available to us.
It's the tip of the iceberg in a lot of respects. And there's a great opportunity for the airport proper, if you will, to grow and expand. We have the county has worked with the state, and we're in the process of designing and getting ready to construct about a 30,000 plus square foot MRO hangar for the opportunity for a company to come in and work on aircraft and jets and so on. There's some interest in. We have another company that's come in and in the process of going through site plan approval for another hangar, which will be fabulous to have. These hangar type facilities for the maintenance and repair and overhaul of our aircraft is a great fit for our airport. And that's something that we're looking to expand and help grow. So, again, and that's on the air side. Now, just to the north, this acreage that we talked about, that's a substantial amount of acreage. And over time, that will be developed. And there's a lot of great, for whether it's for distribution kinds of companies or office and warehouse. There's some great. I've had the opportunity to work on some very large office warehouse developments across the country, and so I can bring a little bit of that planning expertise to the process, and so hopefully we'll be able to use that and leverage that for to help grow our airport proper.
Isn't that what Melbourne pretty much did with their development around the airport?
They sure did. That's a great observation, and that's what has basically paid for that airport in some respects. I'm not going to pretend like I know all the finances, but the fact that they have that land and they have many companies that have developed great companies to grow, been a great financial success for the Melbourne Airport. We have an opportunity to do something very similar.
You're in your new role as the Economic Development Director for St. Lucie County. Talk about collaboration between the partners here along the Treasure Coast, Indian River, Martin, Okeechobee County. Are we really kind of one force to deal with? I mean, do we kind of see eye to eye along the Treasure Coast?
Well, I think we're heading in that direction, which I think is really important. You all may be aware of the recent formation, and maybe a little over a year ago now, of our Treasure Coast Manufacturers Association. Right. A fabulous organization of manufacturers that are from the surrounding counties as well as St. Lucie County, and that's there's something to be said about self-enlightened interests. And when I spent 10 years in Houston, I went out to Rice to do my graduate program in architecture. And the great thing about watching Houston grow was you had many development entities that realized that if they banded together and worked with the city towards things that obviously that would benefit them, but also benefit the city and the county as well. Very same thing that we have going like with the Treasure Coast Manufacturers Association. So, right. Yeah, and that's multi-county, which is great.
It makes sense. How much have we got available here in St. Lucie County in terms of industrial zoned property? We've still got a lot of that available. I mean, are we going to, if we kind of run out of where we can put these potential recruits for the county?
Well, it's a little not so much tougher. We have the land availability and we have the potential for that land to be developed. I think the things that we're working on and trying to help ensure that process and help that will be utilities as we work with the various utility entities here in the county to help put utilities where they'll be best served for that kind of development. And then what I think we'll see happening more is there'll be an interest for the growth to come towards our, to the north as it has. And we'll see more development entities coming here to look for those development and build those spec warehouses where we can put people. Mm-hmm. And I'll say a great partner in that process is Pete Tesh and Jill Marassa and the other folks at our St. Lucie County Economic Development Council. Great people to work with. Yeah.
Now, I think one of the more innovative things that's happened just recently, and the Assistant County Administrator, I think that's Mark Satterley's title. Yes. He's kept us in the loop at the SBDC, but is the bringing online the kitchen incubator. I mean, that's got to be, that is truly innovative. I mean, not every community has one of those. You've got to go a long way away. Maybe Asheville is maybe the closest place that kind of focused on kitchen incubation. But again, another one of those things that really required some vision. I know Mike Adams was instrumental in bringing this to the forefront, and some others because of our agricultural heritage here, and ag as an economic driver for us really kind of promoted the idea. But I was out there just recently, and I mean they're putting paint on the walls now. I mean,
it's very exciting, very exciting. It's a great way to work with our agricultural community and bring that to the table, so to speak. And so we're needless to say very excited about that. The Treasure Coast Regional Park and Research and Development Park, great opportunity for the county. See good things happening there. So
now, if you drive around, there's obviously things happening again. A lot of excavators and bulldozers out there. We got, there's some certainly some construction going on out at the I-95 Turnpike, interchange area. What is the current, market conditions here along the Treasure Coast? I mean, are we Are we where you thought we'd be? Are we behind? Are we ahead? Where are we?
Well, I would say we're in a great place. I think things are growing the way they ought to. We're not racing to another bubble. We're taking it in a very good stride. And our permit building activity, I'll just read a couple of quick statistics.
Sure.
For May of this past May, increased about 17% compared to the same time last year. And this was about a 28% increase in revenues. Our overall construction valuation is up from 11.8 million last year to about 18 million this year at the same time. So, and that's about a 51% increase.
That's
so.
dramatic.
It really is, and of course that in real estate, our prices are moving up and in good pace. We're still a great buy, and I think that's something that's really helpful. Is that for those folks that are trying to get out of the craziness of South, we're a great opportunity.
Well, and at our most recent small business and entrepreneurship conference at the college, we had Dr. Jerry Parrish, present kind of an economic forecast for the area, and of course, he talked about how, an area like the Treasure Coast, we're not just getting pressure from the north. I mean, we're getting some pressure from the south, are we not? I mean, people looking to escape maybe the Dade and Broward and Palm Beach.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's one of the reasons why one of the companies that's interested in our port is looking at us is because of the very same kind of squeeze that's happening in the South. And we've had a number of companies that are looking at our airport for the very same reason, because there's just no place for them to grow anymore. And so we're a great opportunity in that respect.
Yeah. If you had to say, do you guys track things like when a company comes and they begin the process to go through a permitting zoning process? What does it take a company? What kind of average time does it take to put all that together before they break ground?
Well, it's needless to say, the process is balanced between the information that's submitted and the quickness that we can turn that information around. It's like anything: good information in, good information out. But for example, with Maverick Boat Group, I think we turned them around in between 6 and 8 weeks. So review and getting them, for construction, that would be weeks.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
So we can make it happen, and I'm hopefully I'm not talking out of school here. I'm pretty sure that was the number. It was very fast, and so again, recognizing that time is money. That for many people, this is their livelihoods and this is jobs, and so we recognize. And Howard Tipton, our county administrator, has really put the emphasis on service, and I think that's and he and Mark and a couple of others, put together this business navigator position for that very reason, is because it's the job creation, the economic development is important, the service is important, and that's what we have to remember.
And you talk about the jobs. Where are we in terms of people? I mean, can we? One of the questions that Dr. Parrish asked the crowd that morning at the event, he kind of challenged everybody in the room. We're going to look at 5 million more people in the state of Florida by 2030, he said, and then he challenged the room and said, "Are you ready?" Yeah. I mean, are we ready? I mean, are we ready around St. Lucie County and the Treasure Coast for that kind of influx?
I think we are, and I think the most important part of that is that we recognize that we're having that conversation. The very fact that you've brought that up, that it was asked of us, "Are we ready?" And so, it's like that old adage about, you have to recognize there's a problem to, and so here we are. The good news is that we understand that we're poised for that growth. We can take control if we choose to, and I think we are, and that's again one of the blessings of this county.
And political leadership in our county obviously has a good understanding, good business acumen. They're leading the county in the direction of making sure we're ready for that too.
They are. We are blessed with good leadership, and again, that understanding of the importance of job creation, economic development, which makes my job a little bit easier in some respects too. So.
So again, as we kind of bring to a close this portion of our show this evening, quickly, just again, how would somebody get in touch with you? What's the division? Website support. Kind of go over how somebody might figure all this out before they get in touch with you.
Sure. If you go to stlucieco.org, our website, our county website, and go to planning and development, you'll find me there under Business Navigator or Economic Development. I'll be happy to tell you. Shall I give people my phone number?
Absolutely,
Am I allowed to do?
Sure.
My direct line at the office is 772-462-1550, and you can call me anytime. I will call you back. That's half the battle sometimes, is just to get that return phone call.
Right.
So.
And again, the county is, you have programs out there. You talked about the ad valorem tax exemption, the impact fee mitigation, the job growth investment. I mean, you've got active programs, in the hopper right now that could support businesses and give them the incentive to come here and relocate. And
we sure do. In fact, I'm working with the EDC currently for 2 companies that are looking to come into the county for that very thing. So.
And what about current companies in the?
Sure,
we're here to help them too.
Well, absolutely, and again, it's the qualifications, targeted industry. That's important, and remembering that it's job creation, and you have to make sure that you do create those jobs.
So you're working with what we call existing businesses, and I think that's a big part of even Pete Tesh and Jill's focus is
absolutely
business retention and
absolutely very important. Pursuit Boats, S2 Yachts, is a very good example of a company that's been here for a long time. Maverick Boat Group, the very same thing. So ABC, Home Medical Supply, a number of others. So.
Okay. All right. Again, Peter, listen, we really appreciate what you do for the county. We appreciate your time and efforts in supporting folks that are trying to move here and expand here. And I certainly appreciate your support and engagement with the Florida SBDC. We met a ways back at a meeting, and immediately you came to me and said, Tom, you need to be over at the county. We need to understand what it is you guys do. So I appreciate your recognition of us being a resource and an asset for local business too.
Oh, absolutely. Job education and creation is important, and thank you so much. I'm very blessed.
Yep.
And,
All right. With that, we will take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Startup Talk.